Well, good evening, everyone. I'm John O'Loughlin, and welcome to my channel. It's called McDuff Lives. And tonight it's McDuff's Mindfields, episode number 132. And boy, I'm sorry we lost the first, I don't know, maybe 100 of them or so when they killed our channel, the McDuff Kennedy's Man to Smash the CIA. I guess they were just too, that was just too hot for them, all of that 900 videos. They just couldn't handle it. So they took all that down. But we've still got a number of them on, and you can access them through our screamingospreys.com website, which Jumping Mouse, Catherine, our dear webmastress, and that's not a good word, is it? You know what I mean. And she just produces the beautiful memes that we get every week, and she's just always she's got different Osprey feeds that we can see. It's really just a nice place to visit, and then we have our famous book train coming around the mountain there. She'll be right back here if we hang on, and then you can see all of the different categories that Catherine has created to make it easier to find different interesting things. And it's great to have you come and visit screamingospreys.com and see what's going on. All the way down at the bottom of the page is where we keep our calendar, and Catherine keeps that up for us too. You can see different, there's our weekly one, and now here you get to our August calendar, which she keeps up too. So what's going on McDuff Lives, McDuff Lives, and what may be happening on McDuff Lives 2, you can always find out by going to screamingospreys.com. And thanks for visiting. I think there's a support button somewhere on there for Patreon and PayPal. So if you care to support the channel, we appreciate it. All right, tonight, and there's my book. That's there's only available on Kindle through Amazon. I'm sorry, that's just the only way you can get it. It's $9.99, and that's where I prefer you get it. I'm sorry I can't offer you a paperback or a hardback at this time. It's just going to be a little while before we are set up to do that, and I want to do it right. That's what everybody wants to do at Neighborhood News Hour, and I think they're doing a fantastic job publishing the books for George Webb, which you know what they've been going through over there. So definitely support them at Neighborhood News Studio. And Andy's with us tonight to help with the production. Fabulous to have you back, Andy. I know you have been through a few bumps in the road lately, health-wise, but you're doing well. I hear you said you were out exercising. Is that fact? Yeah, he's nodding. He's giving me a thumbs up there. Okay. Oh, I have to add him. There you go. There's
Hey,
there's our man. Okay,
hey, John,
you're
how you
looking
doing?
good, man. You're looking good. You're tightening up, aren't you?
Well, I've been out. I told myself once I got my heart shocked and got it back into working rhythm and got rid of my atrial fibrillation that I promised myself I'd start eating healthier and start hitting the gym a little bit, and I've held myself to it, and I go quite often, and Mr. George Webb has started joining me when he's in town. So
Uh,
both of us should be looking slimmer on camera for everyone here in the
uh,
upcoming weeks.
Well, I'm so happy for you, and I actually well, I'll believe it when I see it. George is going to get out there and do some talk. Well, you know what? George can do anything he says. He's an amazing man, and
Hmm.
he says he's going to get up and go out and jog with Andy. Well, sure.
He hasn't jogged with me yet, but we were shooting hoops at the gym the other day,
Yeah.
and we were out lifting some weights, and George was always doing push-ups and some sit-ups in front of me before I even got my heart fixed. So
Uh-oh.
he was ahead of me a little bit, but
Uh,
I'm starting to catch up.
oh God.
But yeah, taking down the deep state. We all got to be healthy, and in good shape and in good form to be able to battle these guys. So I figured
Well said.
might be starting a little health giving some health advice here pretty soon. I know we have some doctors out there in the crowd, and we don't really talk about nutrition or exercise too much. And some doctors don't too. I know during my whole process, that was one of the last things they would bring up is like, "What are you eating? How much exercise are you getting?" So, if we can help everyone out and get Osprey Nation on the treadmill and pumping some iron and getting us all healthy and strong, that'd be great.
That's fabulous news, Andy. I know you know drummer sends her love to you, and we both miss you very much, and we absolutely want you back here yesterday. So
Deep
don't
drummer.
deep drummer.
Deep drummer.
Let's not go that far. You know who I'm
I
talking.
know who you're talking about.
Anyway, my love, Miss M, the
Yeah.
divine Miss M. She misses you too, and the Totos miss you. So come back. We love to see you. I'm glad you're feeling well, and our best to George and Aaron. And let's get on with the show, okay?
Yep.
I want to
Yep.
talk about exactly what you were talking about. I mean, we have to get up, stand up, in uh, Bob Marley's great words, and how long will they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Um, I love Bob Marley's words, and it's certainly interesting that he died of what I would call fast cancer in a way that's very reminiscent of my dad's case. Oh, pardon me a second. So anyway, I'm just very, very happy to. Oh, there's Bob. Okay, how did Bob Marley die? Yeah, yeah. You can study about that. I've been to Jamaica. Oh, here's my book. I'll show you. Look. If you can get a hold of this book, the only place I could get it was actually in Jamaica, and it's called Marley and Me: The Don Taylor Story. Um, Exploitation, abuse, manipulation, the truth, as told to Mike Henry. And here you will get a story, uh, supposedly from his first and most loyal manager. It's got a whole lot of details. I don't have it fresh in my mind, except for to say it gives you a completely thorough idea of the power of this contention between the uh, the two sides in Jamaica at the time, and how one was associated with the CIA and all of that. So yeah, uh, but I didn't want to make a show about Bob Marley tonight. We have to do that sometime. I absolutely love his legacy. But tonight I wanted to talk about somebody of a completely different character and different stripe, and I had him. I was able to get him to come visit. So he's here. He is. Klaus Schwab is here tonight, and well, you see his fancy outfit. You've seen him in his fancy outfit on the photographs, But here we have Klaus in person. So, Klaus, it's very nice to have you here, and welcome to you. How are you tonight? Good, Abend. I mean, uh, er, uh, good evening, American friends. American friends. And good evening to you, Mr. McDuff. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, American slaves. Let's get down to business. Um, Sir, I'm sorry. Did you say American slaves? I sorry. I mean, respect American friends. American friends. Sir, I'm sure you said slaves. Did you not say slaves, sir? I meant friends. Come on, give man a break. I'm in a foreign country. I don't speak your language. You know what I mean, Mister. What is it? Um, Mr. McDuff. Yes, that's right, McDuff. All right, Klaus. I think we've heard enough from you tonight, so I'm going to have to say goodnight to you, Klaus. Um, it's really been weird, and I hope you have a nice trip back to wherever you came from. Yeah, well, auf Wiedersehen. Good night. Oh my God. Can you believe this? You know, when I pick up this book, when I pick up this book, it makes me sad. It makes me worse than sad. It makes me um it makes me feel like I'm holding something written by, I hate to say it, but uh, like a Mein Kampf. I mean, you may not be able to see it if you haven't been focused on the research that all of these great channels have been doing together. But when you put all of this together, and then you study this book, I mean, this is chilling as hell. I really seriously mean that. I'm going to try to tell you why in a minute. Um, I want to start by reminding you, and I'm just going to read it to you, of what I think are two extremely important points, which are the last part of page 42 of the Yankee and Cowboy War by Carl Oglesby. And folks, I really do highly recommend you listen to me read that book or my comments on it and the book, because I'm not just reading the book to read the book, and I don't own the book, and I want to make that disclaimer. I'm just reading it because of the profound historical importance that is contained in that book. So let me just read this part. This is the divide and conquer. This is the essence of how it works. It's the magical part, the way the occult enters into it. I offer this to you as a important contrast, these two, and how we can conquer that by understanding it. Okay. Where shall I start here? Okay, his topic is clandestinism, meaning secret societies and hiding secrets from different parts of the political, especially from us, right? Secret government is a disease of Republican twilight. Its coming bespeaks the degeneration of the constitutional republic into the military empire. And this is where I think we're going to get to Klaus Schwab. It's when we say military empire. Okay. It worsens when the empire shakes, as in the Vietnam War, America was shaken. Now, here I want you to think about, if you don't mind, I suggest to you that when the Vietnam War was shaking us, it was shaking the American empire. It was shaking us as going concern. It really did put a big rift in America that's still there. More than one, the cracks go multiply. And that fracture happened because of a disastrous war, just like we have just now ended in Afghanistan. Another disastrous war, for all appearances, a terrible disaster. And a disaster for the families involved, and a disaster for everybody, the people of everything. Just a whole disaster unless you happen to be in the business that makes money from those types of wars. So how how can we avoid this trap? Well, here's the meat of what he's saying. One must always return to the specific events in which these larger forces unveiled themselves. Otherwise, we repeat the conservatives' error of assuming that state clandestinism results from the struggle against subversive terror instead of the struggle to maintain illegitimate state power. And the liberals' error of thinking that fascism is the result of the high technology era instead of the domination of this era by the activities of self-serving power elites. All right, I'm going to try to do a screen share here in just a second. So this is actually the channel on YouTube called Jure, Giureh, and it's Sean Ross, who I speak of from time to time. And I want to play this. I don't know if I can do that, or do I have to ask you to do it, Andy? Let me see. Oh, I just have to go to it, don't I? Push play.
Look, this is a British passport. Have you ever seen a lion with a crown on its head? What is this? Walt Disney or something? The lion is not only a symbol of the nobility related to Pharaoh's Sphinx, but more specifically, it symbolizes the old world order, vertical rule of the monarchy, and Red House of Bertasser of Lower Egypt. And why does it all say in French? Honi soit qui mal y pense, meaning shamed be whoever thinks evil of it. So, honi soit qui mal y pense, shamed be whoever thinks ill of it, it says. Now, what do they mean with it? I will explain you exactly what the it is. Well, honi, first of all, is Old French for shame, or to be ashamed in French, and they call it la honte nowadays for shame. And honi, to be ashamed, is written with two N's nowadays in nowadays French. And the motto is by the Noble Order of the Garter from April 23rd, 1348, which is only 34 years after the Knights Templars were burnt in 1314 in front of Le Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. And French has always been the language of the nobility worldwide, because it was in France that Rome's pharaonic elites could escape to after the Germanic tribes conquered and defeated Rome in the year 450. Even at the royal courts of Russia and Germany, French was spoken. So in the crown, on top of this pharaonic crest, is a Templar's cross. And right under, another one with two fleur-de-lis next to it, meaning that Little Britain is a constitutional monarchy with a horizontal rule, Republican New World Order Templars constitution, and the fleur-de-lis for the Old World Order vertical rule, where they all came from. So here on top of it, you see the Templars cross. It comes out of a pyramid, which I show in my videos. And in my video, The Swiss Beast, Home of the Devil, the quadrilogy, the 13 hours, I explain that the Swiss Beast, Home of the Devil, I explained that the Knights Templars, they made the new constitution, the Republican horizontal rule. And this is why it shows here fleur-de-lis for the old world order of the kings, the monarchies, together with the new system. And that's why the Templars cross is right next to here, to the fleur-de-lis. So here you got the New World Order, Old World Order, New World Order, and so forth and so on. Because they divided the power, to have a better control over the slaves. And here in the middle, it's all red for the red house of Pharaoh, the Père Tasser, where they all come from originally. And the old world order is red. That's why here it's a little bit of white, because this is the new world order on top of that. This is the White House. So this is the red house where they came from. And here you got the White House, the new world order of Upper Egypt, the Père Het. So the whole crest symbolizes the union of the old world order vertical rule of the aristocracy and the new world order horizontal rule of the Knights Templars, and therefore saying, shame be whoever thinks evil of this union. It means the union of the old world order and the new world order.
All right, I'm going to stop it there. It's a lot to take in if you're not familiar with Sean Ross's work, but I recommend that you do. It's a fantastic analysis of world history going way back. And the English or the British crown here in that picture represents, on the lion side, that's the monarchy, and on the monarch side, generally in history, the Pope and the monarchs are on the same side, and then on the other side is the white horse. And Mr. Professor Ross goes on to talk about the white horse in terms of, is that a pale horse referred to in Revelation. It's notable that the horse is chained, and that it has a phallic symbol on its head. All of that is part of this amazing video that I recommend that you take a look at. If you are interested in this, behold a pale horse, unicorn of the Order of the Garter for the union of the OWO with the NWO. All right, let me go back to just me. Thanks, Andy. Hey, that worked. I did that. Okay, so I really do think that we are at a point where we need to look in terms of the Yankee and Cowboy War as an ongoing dispute, say, a power struggle, right? A power struggle between and of course, in his book in 1976, it's the Southwestern-based money centers, including California and, but Texas, Arizona, New Mexico money, oil money. That group, and he calls them the cowboys, and then the New England aristocracy that we talk so much about on my channel, he calls those the Yankees. And that is kind of, to me, parallel with what I've seen as a virtual war between the FBI and the CIA. They're not going to exactly overlap. You can't say this is like these different interests, like the FBI and the cowboys are always on the same side. No, but when you divide and conquer, you have a separate, you have the intelligence service war between the FBI and the CIA. You have the financial kings war between the Southwestern Cowboys and the Northeastern Yankees. And how many different dimensions do we have these divisions in that are cracking our society apart? And now, of course, we have the division between those who choose to take the vax and those that don't. And different consequences are starting to be very painful for people, have been for some time now. That happens to be one of those situations where divide and conquer is very effective. So let's go back to, no, you stay over there. Let's just pretend that we're talking to, no, I don't even want to do that because this stuff is so amazing. Well, here's what I want to do. I want to read this essay, which is written by somebody called Richard Cooper, and I got it just by doing DuckDuckGo on Klaus Schwab and I don't know if I said the occult or what, but anyway, here's an essay which I think is really worthwhile. And I don't know, should I put it up there? Yeah, I guess I should. Okay, let me share. I don't know if I can do this. Oh yeah, I can. Andy, you're teaching me well, man. Thank you. I'm gonna never be anywhere near your classes as a producer, but starting to pick up some of this. Okay, I would like now to, good, that's the way it is. So you guys can actually read that if you want to read it later, but here we go. For those late to the game, so to speak, in 2020, we are dealing on the geopolitical stage with far-reaching aspects of political ideology and the mass control of thinking. The mass control of thinking, okay? This is a big subject for me. First, let me establish, therefore, a caveat to this text. Either one gets this subject or one does not. For those that do not, theirs are the mainstream media, so to speak. There is no great mystery to the contradictions, surprises, and ineptitudes of governments displayed throughout the year 2020 into 2021. The name of the project for humanity is the Great Reset, to which Klaus Schwab, founder of the World Economic Forum, mid-2020, wrote the key text. This analysis will not be a booster for the gravity of the situation we face, nor will it be a vaccine for disturbing realities. Rather, I write for those who still read and think, because it not being my intent to outline related matters only to an informed few. The subject at hand has implications for society, regardless of political allegiance. The careful reader will notice how we intentionally try to steer clear of the political pitfalls. Let us outline our basic term of reference. Governance, we are here analyzing it as it is distinct from politics, less abstract, and less ideal. It works through and shapes the psychological response to a governing system. People who undertake governance as the geopolitical steering of humanity are well grounded in the use of Hegelian dialectics and the occult. That is, they understand the power and uses of ideology and manufactured truths to control the populace within and in advance of the unfolding course of history with a capital H. The control of thinking on a wider scale is a strategic and an everyday affair. It is worked out through the institutions of public information, media, education, and insofar as it has been perverted to political ends, culture. Unbeknownst to the majority in society, an occult spiritual establishment exercise coercion overtly or covertly through various forms of public relations, understanding thereby the public ignorance of the spiritual understanding of reality. So, the worst possible scenario for such groups would be the widespread understanding that liberty from such a system, first, does not presently exist and is far from existing in any organized visible form, but secondly, that the means by which the present social, economic, and political problems would be resolved, transformed, and overcome lie in an understanding of the occult and occult history. Well, if Professor Hashimoto is in the chat room there tonight, I'm sure he is happy to hear that, because I love to have our chats sometimes venture in that area, and I'm certainly uh, going there tonight. So let's keep going. Revealing techniques of societal control to the public, explicitly through the media, with signs and symbols to those in the know, so to speak, far from endangering those hidden machinations, provides the best protection to hidden interests and identities. This explicit promotion of the elite of what they are doing, i.e., public relations, should not be confused with education and conscious understanding of such methods. Exposure of the symbolic aspects of historical events can have the effect of simply extending the unconscious reach of occult symbolism itself. How can this be the case? And there's our emblem of Great Britain. In terms of secret societies, we are dealing here with a huge established network of symbolism, cultural reference, and powerful, outwardly honorable institutions to which one must approach with a certain degree of respect in order to fully appreciate the context of the psychological techniques deployed. The motto, "On y soit qui mal y pense," and again, here we are, the same thing, usually translated as shame on anyone who thinks evil of it, and is used as the motto of the British chivalric order of the Garter. In current French usage, the phrase may be used to insinuate the presence of a hidden agenda or a conflict of interest. The credo is a principle of how such secret societies psychologically conceal their political aims, closely linked to the term plausible deniability. There's, if without this term plausible deniability, there would not be any covert operations run by the CIA. It's as simple as that. It says so right there. That you can only run them if you have plausible deniability. Well, here it is. Where does that come from? Pardon me a second. We have to accustom ourselves to a complete reversal of many of our materialistic, taken for granted assumptions about the communication of meaning, historical narratives, and perception itself. Furthermore, the how of communication is as important as the what of the overt content. Condescension, irony, and arrogance should not and cannot be here overlooked. Those cognizant of these rhetorical and psychological methods have high regard for higher learning and art, for it is through education that knowledge is broadened and ignorance dispelled. Well, there's my friends Schiller Institute and the great uh, efforts they do to promote real education, real arts, real understanding, and real learning, how to expand the mind into the greatest machine that can be invented. Really, terrific ideas to pursue. Uh, that exactly what was just what I just read. Um, but you have to be cognizant of it. So here is some of the hocus pocus. Okay. Here's where, you know, the magician pulls the cloak over you. Who is the WEF's Klaus Martin Schwab? A new world could emerge, the contours of which it is incumbent on us to reimagine and to redraw. Isn't that what the Fabians said they were going to do? We've been through the Fabians. I've done 2 or 3 shows on the Fabians and the great filmmakers uh, uh, that that done. I'm sorry, their names, but you can see on YouTube some fabulous work on the Fabians and the study of the Fabian window, which I picked up from them. But anyway, that's what they say. They are going to. There's right in that Fabian window. They've got the a globe there, but it's glowing red like it's on an anvil, and it's heated up for the blacksmiths to work on. And there's a guy with a hammer up there like this, like they are really going to reshape the whole world. Well, this is what we're saying here. Reimagine and to redraw the contours of the new world. That's why this thing gives me the creeps, man. This is crazy. This is totally against anything that we're taught as kids, as Americans, what our values are. In mid 2020, the World Economic Forum's Klaus Schwab wrote a book called COVID-19, The Great Reset. The paperback was published July 20th. As with many events taking place in the world currently, we are increasingly called to question the things we are told by the world's elite organizations about the need for global change. Research into the man and his book and are informative in themselves, but underlying this research is also an important case study in how the occult is used to hide facts and conceal the real drivers and motives of history. We bear in mind here that the appearance, name, and identity of a figure of history may also be considered an image, a stage in itself, for the communication of occult messages, and the means by which we may read occult signatures of affiliation and loyalty to the long term project of elite dominion. Let me read that last little phrase again. And the means by which we may read occult signatures of affiliation and loyalty, and that's in italics, to the long-term project of elite dominion. You know, don't you see the purple lapels? Why does somebody wear a purple lapel? You know, don't you kind of start wondering why everybody suddenly wants to wear these purple kind of magenta purple sometimes ties, and To me, that's a royal purple. That's a gesture to royalty, to the old world order. Schwab was born on 3/30 in 1938 in Ravensburg, Germany. A suspect date in itself, for it totals in numerological values 933 and 1938 compounds to 21. Again, it's 3, blah, blah, blah. It comes to 33 and 3. He has 2 degrees, one in economics and one in engineering. I'm not discounting the numerology. I just don't want to get caught up in it right now. And a master of public administration from government at Harvard. His father, Eugen, was a factory director in a subsidiary of a major Swiss. This is where Swiss always comes in. Engineering company Escher Wyss in Ravensburg, Germany. Now, Ravensburg is very close to Switzerland. During World War II, Ravensburg was a distribution center for Allied prisoners of war, and his father was active there with the Red Cross. In the book Gastgeber der Mächtigen, Host to the Mighty, Schwab mentions that apparently Eugen Schwab, his father, had tried to set up an agreement with the Allies that cities not in the defense industry would not be targeted for airstrikes. Schwab, a joke amongst Swiss for German farmers, would seem to depict the family as common folk, as men of the people. So which one is it? Idealism or cynicism? Are these playful contradictions or more serious ones? Then we find that he goes to Spohn Gymnasium in Germany. Schwab went back to, and then he went back to Switzerland. He worked for Escher Wyss in Zurich and was the assistant to the CEO in Frankfurt. After this, he went to America for his master's and met Henry Kissinger and Kenneth Galbraith. Back home, he received his doctorate from the University of Bern. Remember where Alan Dulles was stationed in the CIA, right? Bern. And at the age of 30, he became a member of the board of Escher Wyss in Zurich, responsible for integrating Escher Wyss into Sulzer AG. Notably in Au, near Zurich, Switzerland, Klaus Schwab spent 2 years in primary school, site of Chateau Au, to which Klaus is inextricably linked. He was also a professor at Centre d'études industrielles in Geneva. After 2 years, he started the World Economic Forum on the 24th of January, 1971. And there is the chateau where he lived. Now, this is interesting. We have a link here from Corona to the WEF and Klaus Schwab. Coligny in the west, French-speaking part of Switzerland, near Geneva, is headquarters of the WEF and the home of Klaus Schwab and the foundation, Martin Bodmer. Martin Bodmer, founder of the Bodmer Library in Coligny, just outside of Geneva, was a collector of papyri manuscripts, and by 1939 had accumulated 60,000 volumes. He was the vice president of the International Red Cross from 1940 until his death in 1971. In 1951, he relocated to Coligny, and the Bibliotheca Bodmeriana was inaugurated. Martin Bodmer Naville was also a publisher. He launched in 1930 a bi-monthly German literary review, which published writers like Rilke, Thomas Mann, Kastner, and Hofmannsthal. By a strange twist of fate, the name of the journal was Corona Nova. A conspicuous detail follows. Martin Bodmer died on the 31st of March, 1971, one day after Klaus Schwab's 33rd birthday, the same year in which, in January 1971, Klaus Schwab had founded the WEF in Coligny. Even Without reading into these occult clues, we have industrial magnates with shared spheres of interest, with links back to Venice, old money, landed money, wielding significant social and geopolitical power. When we add to this their signaling of their man with the 33, in Scottish Rite and Freemasonry, 33 is the highest grade sovereign grand inspector general. A picture emerges, a view of a world on the other side of the walled castle gardens, where real worldview and intent are far removed from whitewashed narratives. Let's see, I'm running out of time, so I cannot read all of this. Let me see if I can get to analogies to the current 2020-21 lockdowns abound here. Astute readers will recognize the relation to the Dark Winter narrative of Operation Dark Winter, which was the code name for a senior level bioterrorist attack simulation conducted on June 22nd, 23rd, 2001. Preparatory drills took place by global leaders for the COVID pandemic in 2019. This side of the world is the world of the initiate, able to perceive these occult machinations across time spans, the plans of this global elite, to which the entertainment industry are partial. In the first lines, she acquits us, referring to a goddess before a court, betrays a strange spirituality. Are these references to people who believe they are able to subvert the laws of karma, that, quote, history will absolve them? Ideologies and 21st century projects we have been growing increasingly accustomed to seeing in the mainstream media include the new Green New Deal, sustainable development, UN Agenda 21, the fourth industrial revolution, digitalization and technocratic control. The book assumes readers are already primed, so the authors waste no time in establishing the economic reset, the inane build back better narrative. Quote, but deep existential crises also favor introspection and can harbor the potential for transformation. The fault lines of the world, most notably social divides, lack of fairness, absence of cooperation, failure of global governance and leadership, now lie exposed as never before, and people feel the time for reinvention has come. A new world will emerge, the contours of which are for us to both imagine and to draw. However, introspection needed for change will, of course, not be undertaken by the ruling elite, but will be passed down. Nor will it be a participatory democracy. Freedom of thought and the freedom of speech are clearly defined as dissent. As usual, contradictions are presented to the masses that are difficult to reconcile, right? Contradictions, divide and conquer. The use of the term existential is particularly disingenuous for a crisis maintained and created through propaganda over a subservient society. Um, Footnote 1 from Rudolf Steiner. Some of you may be Rudolf Steiner fans. I'm not a great student of his, so I can't really say, but this particular quote is a little bit, I think, very important. So let me just read this. It's footnote number 1. Rudolf Steiner, quote, thus Hegelian logic actually remains something eternal. Thus, it must continue to be effective. It must ever and again be sought for. We cannot do without it. If we try to manage without it, we either fall back into the nebulous softness of making veils, or we founder in what people immediately became enmeshed in when they have approached Hegel without being able to grasp him. Unquote. He does a lot of talking about QAnon as well, which is interesting, but I'm not going to try to bring that into the discussion tonight. Well, I can see I'm running out of time before I got through all of my material, which is good. So, but it leaves you a little bit hanging because I haven't tied all the threads together. But let, we did take time to talk about Bob Marley and some other great stuff and chat a bit, and that's part of life too. And I'm glad we have some flexibility here with the great production over there at Neighborhood News. Um, Remember what I said at the beginning, that the conservative error is to think that the government is becoming totalitarian because of terrorist groups that are threatening from below. Whereas the liberals make the mistake of thinking that the technological totalitarianism is the direct result of the increasing technology. It's just inevitable that because we have all this great technology, that we're all just giving up our privacy. We're giving up everything. We just put our medical records up. It's just, here's my thumbprint. Who cares? That's that's where we're at right now. So uh, the very last bit of it is whether we can withstand the oncoming whatever's going to happen this fall. Uh, we just have to be ready. I want to also to just once again applaud Mark Kulak at Housatonic Live and his great work on uncovering what I think is the real amazing untold story uh, about uh, this virus that absolutely. Uh, I mean, watch his shows. Fabulous stuff, and congratulations, Mark, on your channel. It's great. Thank you. Thank you all for being with me tonight. The connection then. What I wanted to make the whole topic of the show is to say, that the Great Reset is really the latter, the taking the liberal deception and saying, okay, all this technology is coming, and so we're going to have this great reset. And isn't it amazing that COVID-19 just came along just when we needed it? And that's basically what's so creepy about his book is he's saying, you know, since making its entry onto the world stage, COVID-19 has dramatically torn up the script of how to govern countries. Really? Live with others and take part in the global economy. COVID-19, the Great Reset, is a guide for anyone who wants to understand how the novel coronavirus, they say novel all the time, and that's a fascinating question there that Dr. David Martin raises, could cause so much disruption and suffering, and what changes are needed to create a more inclusive, resilient, and sustainable world. Sustainable. Yeah, sustainable. This book provides a worrying yet hopeful analysis. Klaus, you just you're not selling anything. I mean, have you thought about selling cars? Maybe you could get a lot. All right. He doesn't want to talk. That's what it is. It's this great reset is they're just going to take everything that's left is they're taking it and they're going to say, well, geez, but yeah, you can connect to 20 billion people and you can all think about the same project because we need to solve some problem about uh, how to get the most lithium out of some asteroid and all right. Let's not be cubicle slaves for the great empire. Let's maintain our rights. That's what McDuff is all about. Uh, preserve, protect, defend the Constitution of the United States. All right. Good night.